you can be intentional in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if you're intentional about the wrong things, it doesn't help, especially in the guest experience. Here's our problem most of the time, is people build products or they build experiences oftentimes for themselves. They build what they think is cool or what they think they need. What they forget is to build experiences and products for the guests. And more importantly, they fail to build experiences through the perspective of the guest.
Yeah.
If I was to build Loyal Coffee through the perspective of a person who's been in coffee for a large portion of his life, through a specialty coffee drinker, and all the coffee nerd stuff I do at home, this place would be a raging failure. Right? Because most
all 12 people would love it.
Most people don't care about all that shit. They just don't care. Right? So we had to build loyal through the perspective of the guests.
Yes.
What do the guests actually want? So what's important about intentionality is not just being intentional about the things you think is cool or the things you think is important.
Yes.
What does the guest actually need? So when I teach and I do coaching, I always say, take your shoes off. Like take your shoes off and put yourself in their shoes. I've heard a couple stories from time to time about Imagineers at Disneyland, and I've heard about how they have these little skateboards that are electronic, and they get on their knees and they roll around the park from like 4.5 feet tall. Why is that? They want to see the park through the perspective of the kids. Wow. To just walk around the park from 6 feet tall doesn't build a magical experience for someone who's 4 feet tall. Right? But we're all 6 feet tall, and we can't see it from that perspective. And so what does it look like to be intentional, to build something through the perspective of other people? Yeah. Are we developing products that's easy for someone the first time they use it? When you're in development and you're coding a product, like, you are so familiar with that, you are the worst person to train it, to teach it, to even know what the needs are of the guest. You are literally the worst person. Yeah. You know, it just is the truth. Like, and so for me, intentionality only works when you put on the shoes of your guest. You have to take your shoes off and put on the shoes of somebody else and see it through their perspective. It's the only way intentionality works.
That's so good. So you just mentioned that you teach other people hospitality. So you have a consulting business as well?
I do, yeah. So it's called Meaningful Hospitality.
Okay.
And what we say is that we're passionate about creating meaningful experiences for employees and guests.
Yes.
And I think, bro, there's a lot to that. I teach a concept we call the meaningful hospitality ecosystem, and it's kind of built upon 3 core pillars. The first one is we call it smart hiring. The second part of the ecosystem we call employee engagement, which we're all probably familiar with. And then lastly, we call guest experience. Yeah. Now, and I think using hospitality in all 3 of those is what really makes it beautiful and really what makes it work. But here's the idea behind it. And I think it really will work. If we're in tech, I think it works, if you're in coffee or cocktails or whatever industry. Yeah. That if you want a good guest experience, it's only going to be as good as the people you have, right? If you want a good baseball team, it's only going to be as good as the baseball players you have on the team.
Definitely. Yeah.
And so, but what's so interesting, Alec, is that too many people leave hiring to chance. I'm telling you, I've met with hundreds of people, and I say, so how do you hire? Like, how do you make the decision? And usually, after we get through all the fluff, they say, well, it just felt right. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what if you had bad hot wings, bro? Like, if it felt bad, like your guest experience is on the line here. Why are you leaving? And then I'll say, like, so tell me some questions you ask. And they're like, well, how many pennies does it take to fill an airplane? And it's like, or if you're a dog, what kind of dog would you be? And it's like, do you work in pennies or airplanes or dogs? Yeah. Like, why are you asking that? And there's no intentionality. So in the same way, a lot of people leave the guest experience to chance. People leave hiring to chance. Yeah. So what I want to say is, stop it. Like, you can take control over that. You can be intentional and use facts and data and real concrete evidence that will help you hire people that fit into your company culture and that will accomplish the goals that you have. Yeah. And that will ultimately lead to a good guest experience, right? But the guest experience won't happen if you don't have people that are prone to succeed in your context. Yeah. So I teach that. But just because you hire a good person doesn't mean they're going to buy into your culture. It doesn't mean they're going to stay for a long time. And so then you need to work to teach them, train them, bring them in, get them psyched, get them pumped, get them taught about what you're all about. And that's what employee engagement is. Same thing. Like, do you have a plan to remember people's birthdays? Like, we all know that's important.
Mhm.
Why not put a structure in your organization to actually remember that?
Yeah.
Like, is there a plan to recognize your team members? Do you have onboarding? Do you have orientations? Most employees that we hire at Loyal Coffee have never been through an orientation in their life, which is mind-blowing to me. Like,
Yeah.
the guest experience and the employee experience is almost the exact same thing. It's all about momentum.
Yeah.
And so when you hire someone, from the very first second they interact with you, they're developing an opinion of what it's like to work at your organization.
Yes.
And so I can leave that to chance and hope that it's good,
Mm-hmm.
or I can be intentional to ensure that the guest experience is good, that it's positive, that it's helpful. And so for me, I don't want to leave that to chance.
Yeah.
So we plan it out for 4 years. We have recognitions, we have training, we have milestones planned out, budgeted out, ready to rock and roll. We're being intentional, we're taking control of it, and we're not just leaving it to the gods.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so here's the bottom line of this, though, when all is said and done, is the way you treat your employees is the way they're going to treat your guests.
Yeah.
And so if you want a good guest experience, if you want your team members to be hospitable to your guests, you sure as hell better be hospitable to your team members. Like, if you want them to have intuition to meet the needs of your guests, am I as a leader using intuition, listening to the needs of my employees and working to meet that?
So
that's what employee engagement is all about. Is really showing and reflecting to them the experience that you want your guests to have. And then you get to guest experience. People hire me often saying, help me fix the guest experience. I'm going to say, okay, let's start with the people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. My people are fine. I just need a trick of the trade. Tell me about the music you play.
Yeah.
The music matters, but not nearly as much as the people, but it's just hard work. Changing the music is easy.
Yeah.
Changing the hiring process is not.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and then we get to guest experience. We talk about intentionality, seeing things through the perspective of the guest, building a guest experience map and those kinds of things. But it doesn't start there. It starts with hiring, then employee engagement, then you can innovate the guest experience. So I help coach and consult with various organizations, spas, coffee shops, cocktail bars, tech companies, real estate agents, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I believe these principles work for any context. As long as you work with other humans, these principles apply.
Yeah.
And so, I love that. And then what's been really fun is recently as well, I've been doing a lot more keynote speaking as well, and and so kind of getting out of just the boardroom and kind of onto the stage and really inspiring this on a grander scale, because it just really seems like in the age of automation, people are attaching themselves to human interactions and the importance of hospitality.
For it.
And we could talk about that if you want, but people are getting desperate to learn how to create more humane and intentional experiences, because I think they're happening less and less in real life.
Yeah.
Like, my kid, bro, isn't gonna have to go to the grocery store. Like, so by the time he grows up, he's not gonna go to the bank. He's probably not gonna drive a car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so many things, all these things where we would have had to interact with one another. Yeah. Those things are disappearing. But I think deep down in our humanity, we need it. And so I think ultimately, this is getting a little wild here, but I think ultimately when all the jobs are gone because everything's automated, the people that are going to win and the jobs that are going to be successful are the ones where we're curating human interactions with one another. I think people will pay a premium to interact with other humans. Yeah. And I think that people who are good at creating great experiences for other people are the ones that can create great experiences. That's why Meow Wolf in Santa Fe is crushing. The fully interactive art gallery, like, they take into account all 5 senses, like it's a fully immersive experience, and people are coming from all over the world to go there. Oh, wow. So people are going from all over the world to Disneyland because they're desperate for these human-to-human, like, real-life interactions, because they're happening less and less. Yeah. And so that's why hospitality really matters, and why it's going to matter more than ever as time goes on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Give me chills over here.
Hey.
So good. Well, this is kind of an obscure one.
Let's go.
I think.
Let's do it.
One of the most interesting things, when I first moved to Colorado Springs, back to Colorado Springs a couple years
Sure.
ago. A buddy of mine was like, "Oh, I gotta take you to Loyal Coffee,"
Yeah.
and came there, and I found out about your disloyalty card.
Sure.
I thought it was
Yeah, dog.
the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I have my suspicions as
Sure.
to why you might do it, but like to hear it from
Mhm.
you. Tell me about the disloyalty card.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, at Loyal Coffee, there's really two things. Like, I think for any company, any organization, knowing that different folks that are going to be watching this,
Yeah.
companies are only successful when they know their true purpose,
Mm-hmm.
when they know why they do what they do. Right?
Yes.
Simon Sinek, start with why, like that
Mhm.
whole thing. And for us, that's very clear. And if any organization that's listening to this, you can't properly or clearly articulate why you do what you do, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
So spend some time figuring that out.
Mhm.
It's so important. Our purpose at Loyal Coffee is community by way of coffee. That's why we exist.
Yeah.
More than anything else, we want to engage, encourage, and elevate community. So part of that, we really believe, a kind of a tenet of that, is we teach this to our employees in orientation and things like that. We deeply believe that the rising tide raises all the ships. Cutthroat culture is counterintuitive to our company's purpose,
Yep.
but also it doesn't make anyone better, I think. If you spend all your time trying to overtake another company or another idea, or you're trying to cut them down,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be good at cutting other people down. What that means is that you're not going to be good at the thing you set out to be good at. 'Cause you're spending all your time trying to get the other people. So at Loyal, we could say we want to be the best coffee company possible, or we could say we want to get rid of these guys and we're going to try to take them over, which
Yeah.
isn't our heart.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to spend most of our time trying to be the best coffee company we possibly can. But here's the twist in that, is I believe the rising tide raises all the ships.
Mm-hmm.
So that when Switchback Downtown does good, so do we. And there's a couple reasons why. For one, guests are getting educated. They're forming opinions. And if we do a good job, those guests are going to appreciate what we do because they learned at another place. I don't have the capacity to teach all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So other coffee companies doing well is helpful to me.
Yep.
But the other thing is when other coffee companies, all the shops over town, when they begin to innovate
Mhm.
and improve their guest experience and their hospitality, it forces me to do that also. So when somebody else comes up with a great idea, I have to match that or do better.
Yeah.
So when they're doing good, I'm doing better if I'm willing to try and learn and innovate.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that idea so deeply. When other people succeed, so do we. And so the disloyalty card is us putting our money where our mouth is.
Mm.
We really believe in building community through our coffee company, and we believe the rising tide raises all the ships. So the disloyalty card is a card that has the logos of various specialty coffee shops all over Colorado Springs on it.
Mm-hmm.
We give that card away for free. We do it a couple times a year.
Yep.
You take that card, you go and get it stamped at those other coffee shops.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fill that up, you can bring it back to Loyal, and we'll give you a free cup of coffee for shopping at our other friends' coffee shops.
Yep.
And it's just, again, reinforcing what we believe and our company's identity and purpose.
Yeah.
So we really believe it, so why not actually manifest that in real life?
Yeah.
And so that's what that really is, and it's been super fun, and the community in the Springs just gets so stoked every time we put it out and do a different rendition of it.
Hey guys, Zach here from Fire and Hammer Media with Alec. We just wanted to say thanks for watching this segment of the interview. You can find a link to our YouTube channel, Fire and Hammer Media, to watch the whole thing in its entirety. You can also follow Fire and Hammer Media on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So make sure to jump over there to stay up to date with all the latest content coming out.
Absolutely. And please comment below. Tell us what you thought about the content in this video. Would love to hear from you, as well as give us ideas on who we should interview next. We love talking to customer success experts all over the place. So go ahead and throw their name in the chat, and I will do my very best to reach out to them and get them on one of these videos for you, okay? So thanks again so much for watching our video. We're so excited to connect with you in the future.
That one was better. Cool. I'm good with that. Yeah. Thanks, Steven. Yeah.